Welcome to Insights for Manufacturing, the podcast that supports the UK manufacturing sector. Hosted by Jeff Beecham, the manufacturer's recruiter. Hello and welcome to another episode of Insights for Manufacturing. I'm delighted to welcome my guest today, Charlotte Horobin, who is the Regional Director for the Midlands and East of England at Make UK. Welcome to the show, Charlotte. How are you doing today?
Morning, Jeff. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. And delighted to be having a chat with you today.
You're very welcome. So, crikey, there's so much going on in, UK manufacturing at the moment, both from an individual business point of view, a sort of government policy point of view, support, more headwinds that you could care to mention. So to start off with, could you just give a sort of brief overview from a Make UK perspective in terms of the outlook for UK manufacturing in 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've observed some really peculiar activity in the economy and, of course, the impact that has on UK manufacturing. So every quarter we speak to our tens of thousands of manufacturers that we've got the benefit of reaching out to and get some sentiments around key things like output, orders, export levels, recruitment intentions, investment intentions. We've done that for nearly 30 years. And probably no surprise to you, during the pandemic, we saw some of the worst set of results come through. But equally, very quickly, we also saw some of the best sets of kind of balances and recovery come through. So although that was positive to see for a business leader and, a management team, that's incredibly hard to, keep on top of also. Since 2022, what we've seen though is kind of quarter on quarter, a gradual slowing of both output and orders. Things are still positive, but we've got a little bit of a discrepancy where actually the order book is outpacing the ability to deliver on the output. So, there is demand there, but actually inflationary pressures, input costs have gone up. The ability to get hold of workforces and hold on to really good talent is very difficult. And if you've managed to do those things, actually moving goods about also equally difficult and more costly. I think the big impact there has been then pricing. So we've seen, high balances regarding pricing, but actually what's really painful is then margins are declining. And that's really difficult for manufacturers. Of course, we've got people in often quite sophisticated long-term contracts. We're part of long international supply chains as well. So when, these volatile prices come through, it's very hard to be able to pass that on. So we're still in this period where manufacturers are still trying to recover those margins.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to what you said about there's still some huge growth in terms of order books for businesses. I've got a couple of clients that are in the same situation. Order book is solid and just going and continuing to sort of go on an upward trajectory. But then there's the challenges that most people are seeing. You've mentioned them. The skills, getting materials in, inflation, costs. It's a real challenge, but I think for businesses that, I suppose you'd much rather have a full order book than struggling to get those orders. So, hopefully some of these challenges will subside somewhat, if not, in a major way as the year sort of develops. But it is a challenge. So from a sort of positive perspective, what are the main opportunities for UK manufacturing currently?
Well, I think if we look for the year ahead, I've had the benefit of meeting about 90 to 100 managing directors, chief execs, as part of our kind of regional connectivity. And they were really bullish, actually. There was an appetite that 23 could be better than 22. And one soundbite, I remember one business leader said, you know what, we've grown by X amount, but I absolutely refuse to believe that there's not more for us to go after. So I think it's really great to see that there seems to be this attitude that if we listen to the media too much, we could almost talk ourselves into recession. And most of the manufacturers that I'm speaking to, say, hands up, things are difficult, but these are the great things we're going to do. I think there's great opportunities for manufacturing to be seen as the solution and not the challenge, to create, new products and new technologies. And develop new business models so that we can have a more sustainable world moving forward. So we're really keen to make sure that our manufacturers, it's not just about them making sure that their operations are greener and more efficient, but actually producing, those technologies that could benefit economies all around the world. I think there's great appetite to train and develop the existing workforce, but also to continue to invest in the next generation. And I think also COVID-19 taught a lot of our manufacturers to be perhaps a little bit more diverse and open their minds as to what it is that they do. So rather than, saying we bend tubes for the aerospace sector and they're only going to go to customer X, Y, and Z, I think during COVID-19, there was this real kind of mindset of, okay, what are my capabilities?
Yeah.
We're able to do this capability for a number of sectors, and we want to make sure that we're sending those goods all around the world, because we mustn't forget, manufacturing produces over half of the UK exports. So really important to bring kind of true wealth back to the country.
Absolutely, and I suppose there are quite a few businesses out there that tend to mainly supply an industry sector, or most of their work is, say, for aerospace or automotive, whatever it might be, which is great. You do build up that sort of expertise, and their customers love that. But I think if more businesses were a little bit more diverse, it certainly avoids some of those, not necessarily peaks and troughs. So I mean, typically, if anything's going to happen, it's a total drop off, isn't it? It's automotive is usually full on until there's an issue, and then everything just goes pear shaped. It's just so quiet. So that little bit of having not all of your eggs in one or two baskets is probably a sensible business model, but that doesn't suit some leaders, and they'll choose to do what they do. But just going back to what you said as well about we've got a great base here for tech and innovation. One of the things that I'd like to see more of is some of the businesses that are inventing and designing new tech in certain aspects that then just goes abroad straight away for manufacture. Whereas, so we're coming up with this fantastic IP and then it's being made somewhere else. I think that's a shame. Great British products. Yes, a lot of them are engineered and designed here in the UK, but, I'd love to see a more sustained effort to actually make stuff here as well. I was at the festive networking event in Birmingham with Make UK in December, and I recall Stephen Phipson giving a brief overview, and what I liked about what he said was that it was very balanced. It was obviously recognizing the hard work that's going in to UK manufacturing and all the great work that Make UK does, but then there was a clear message that 2023 is going to be a challenge. And I think that's the reality, isn't it? There's a lot of positivity within the sector. And I myself, I'm always following and supporting other people posting on LinkedIn, for example, with the great stuff that's happening. But also with that tinge of reality that, it's not all a bed of roses. And for every, 10 good stories, there's going to be a couple of not so good ones, and I think we've just all got to keep our eyes open, haven't we? So tell me a bit about the national awards that have recently taken place, Charlotte.
We've just had our national gala dinner. So this is where all of our regional award winners come together and we find out who tops the pops nationally. And I think it's fair to say, actually, it was an East Midlands manufacturing business, Swift Tool Precision Engineering Limited in Nottinghamshire, who absolutely stole the show. So Developing People Award, they were the champion SME of the year, but actually took home the biggie in terms of manufacturer of the year. And I had the benefit of sat with Sam and Stuart Hanley, who drive the business forward together, and their superb team. And what an amazing night. But there was awards handed out for various disciplines to a number of really awesome manufacturers, but also some really quite spectacular apprentices as well. When they went up and produced their kind of thank you speech, we were all really blown away and probably feeling a little bit inferior as well. But we're just about to now head into our national conference. So, it never stands still at Make UK. That's one thing for sure. So On the 7th of March, we'll be heading to the QE2 Conference Centre in Westminster, just around the corner from our lovely headquarters, Broadway House. And we've got a spectacular lineup. So Steph McGovern, who is a really passionate ambassador for the sector, will be steering us through our agenda. Stephen will be kicking off the show. So Stephen Phipps, our chief executive, will provide his fascinating insights as to his high-level engagement with government, but also what he's hearing when he's speaking to various manufacturers up and down the country. And he's always actively out and about seeing our members. But then we've got, a real balance of industry big hitters and also political big hitters. We'll have the Rest is Politics duo, Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart, doing a session in the morning, which will be absolutely fabulous. So we're delighted that they're supporting the event. We'll have the Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Rees, who I've had the benefit of taking around our Apprentice Centre in Birmingham. So great to see Rachel's support for the event. But then we've also got some breakout sessions focusing on digitalising to decarbonise. We're talking about international trade. We're focusing on talent. We'll have representatives from businesses like Lush Bath Bombs. We'll have My Energy, a 6-year-old business that now employs 400 people producing technology that will again drive sustainability and better use and management of energy in UK homes. We've got Woolcool. They make packaging out of wool. So, some really, really amazing businesses. And then in the evening, we'll head to our manufacturing dinner where we've got political commentator Beth Rigby speaking at that event. So really looking forward to it. And then the next day, it happens to be the 8th of March, which is International Women's Day. So I'm really proud that we're going to be bringing together about 65 of our leaders from across the manufacturing sector to really champion, equality, diversity in the sector.
Brilliant. Sounds like a packed and exciting schedule there. So on to National Manufacturing Day. For anybody that's not aware of this and hasn't been involved in this in the past, what is it and what's planned? How can businesses get involved, Charlotte?
So I think it's worthwhile just reflecting on the backdrop. Time and time again, I'm sure anybody that's listening to this podcast and anyone that's been involved in any sort of manufacturing forum, the big old issue of school engagement, skills, the sector's not seen as attractive to the next generation comes up time and time again. And how do we make sure that people see manufacturing as a really rewarding, well-paid, productive career with really great, exciting opportunities? Jeff, I'm sure you know that better than anyone. So in the US, we work with our kind of sister organisation, the National Association for Manufacturing, and for a number of years, they've held a really successful manufacturing day where they get factories to, embrace their local community, throw open their doors, raise awareness of the sector. And Make UK has been talking to its members for a number of years to say, what do you think about this concept? Do you think we should, motor it forwards? And let's be fair, unless our members want to back this, that's where we get our mandate. We got nearly 100% of people saying, hands down, this is what we need to do. At the time, it was COVID, so school engagement and opening factories really wasn't a possibility. But as soon as, those restrictions moved away, last year we ran the inaugural National Manufacturing Day. So in July, we opened a number of factories up and down the country, people making lifeboats, bath bombs, parts for Formula One, aerospace, you name it. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So we, great success, but we just want to build on that year and year and year and make sure that this becomes, a heartbeat that every school, every college, every university looks forward to this day in the year. So the 28th of September, 2023 will be National Manufacturing Day. We're asking all of our factories, all of our universities, our colleges, our schools, get involved. Please think about throwing open your doors in whatever way you see fit. For some factories, that might just be, for some production sites, that's about maybe inviting family and friends in to see what mum, dad, uncle, auntie do during the day. For some, it's a barbecue outside, but also we've got manufacturers that come together and, almost as a consortium are reaching out to local schools to say, look, this is what's happening in your local community. Come and visit us. Come and talk about an apprenticeship, or where you might want to come and work when you've graduated from university.
Oh, that's wonderful. And, I love the notion of, employees taking their kids along, and introduce them to what mum and dad do. That's a great way of getting kids involved. So I guess there are some people that, maybe depending on how old the children are, but some would be, put off by whatever it is their parents do, whether they work in a bank or whether they work in a factory. They're just a little bit more, they want to do their own thing and want to make up their own minds. But I think a lot of kids at a young enough age, certainly sort of primary school and early doors of secondary school, I think it's great for families for the kids to know what their parents do as well. It's a great way of sort of learning about what your parents do, how important it is for them to go to work, and the impact that their parents are having on the wider community and society through their work. So it's a win-win for everybody. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
So, and the date for that is September the 28th, did you say?
28th, correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So any listeners, get that date in your diary. Now, what about levelling up, Charlotte? I know, it was a huge part of policy for I say the current government, but the current party in government. What are you seeing throughout the various Make UK regions in terms of those levelling up plans sort of coming to fruition, and the real impact for businesses and communities in those areas?
I think it might be a little early to say at the moment what the outcomes are likely to be, but fascinating to see areas like the West Midlands Combined Authority been successful in the Innovation Accelerator bid.
Yep.
And that will start to grow arms and legs as to what that really means and what the opportunities are for businesses in the West Midlands. I think it's really important to reflect that manufacturers obviously lay down bricks and mortar. They really invest into a place for the long term. So that's why manufacturing is so important to local economies, because they tend to be businesses that stay there for a long time and want to make sure that their workforce have got affordable and nice housing, a beautiful place to live, a good high street to go and shop, and somewhere that generally people are happy. So we mustn't lose sight on why manufacturing is so important to local place. I think we've got to make sure that levelling up doesn't sort of channel activity to other areas and we almost push the problem elsewhere, because I've got members in various counties that will say, well, hang on a minute, money's going out of London but it's going to these cities, and what about me? I'm a rural business. So I think we've got to make sure that this is truly levelling up and not just levelling across.
Yeah, like you say, it's going to take quite a while for this whole policy to be realised in its entirety. Thanks for sharing that feedback, Charlotte. Now, I wanted to talk briefly about apprenticeships. I know Make UK have got a fantastic facility and support mechanism for UK manufacturing and engineering businesses. I've been around your Birmingham Technology Hub a couple of times. It's really, really impressive. Apprenticeships are so important, aren't they, for us to grow the next generation of skills. But I think we've had a few issues around the sort of apprenticeship levy when that was introduced, and different companies will have their own sort of opinions on that. But in principle, apprenticeships must be the way forward, mustn't they, for the sustainability of UK manufacturing in terms of keeping those skills, at the forefront. And it also enables, future innovation, because, each generation will bring with it a little bit of its own thinking, a little bit of its own creativity. But can you tell us a little bit about, what makes the Make UK apprenticeships such a draw for, businesses and young learners as well?
Yeah, so again, I always think it's fascinating to think about how we got to where we are. So, we're a 130-year-old organisation, which is not for profit. It's owned by its members, and for those 130 years has listened to the sector, engaged government to make sure that the views were heard and the right things were done where possible for the best business environment. But more often than not, actually, where advice, support, and pragmatic, deployment was required, we've gone over, to be able to support manufacturers in that way. So it's no surprise that skills is the biggest issue constantly when we talk to our members. Strip whatever geopolitical kind of crisis of the day is there away, it always comes back to having those talented people. And that's why we've been really proud to invest in a world-class training hub over in Birmingham, where, yes, we're supporting a number of local manufacturing businesses, but actually this is a really great place for manufacturers who want to train consistently at the highest standards. We do support learners from all over the country. If you've got, a number of facilities, actually, it's a really great place. And we offer kind of a residential model to support the learners that way. It's a really great place to get that kind of consistent level of training. I think whilst we saw a modest increase in apprenticeship starts last year, because of course we saw quite a challenge during COVID-19, we mustn't forget that actually engineering, manufacturing related apprenticeship starts are 9% down on 2014, 2015. And if you look at the data of apprenticeship starts and when the levy comes in, I'm afraid it doesn't make for great reading. There's been £3.3 billion of unspent levy going back to the Treasury since 2019. And this isn't because there is a lack of appetite, but the system is just too rigid and not quite fit for what many of our manufacturers really need. The great news, though, is even though there are those challenges, 53% of our members recruited an apprentice in the last 12 months, and just over half plan to do so in the next 12 months. But imagine if we could get that system, really effective, what that could mean. And you're quite right, whilst we do need graduates and we do need the existing workforce, actually most of our manufacturers say we need these technically minded people coming into our business. That's where the gaps are really, really telling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose aside from apprentices and getting engineering grads into industry, there's also a fairly big trend for businesses now to do more upskilling, with existing staff. And certainly from from my perspective as a recruiter, it can only help retention of great people. It's important to not just train people, but keep them in the business. So long may that continue as well.
Yeah, of course, we've had big pressures, and they're still looming, aren't they, in the economy around pay. And, businesses need to be sustainable. The checkbook can only stretch so far. So whilst I'm sure many manufacturers would, love to be able to offer the kinds of settlements that people, desire, actually, to be sustainable, there is that kind of middle ground. However, what we are seeing is that training, development, succession planning really kind of is a strong route for our manufacturers to be able to retain their talent, but also develop that next generation coming through. So we're also talking to a number of universities and a number of training providers who again are looking at where are the gaps, perhaps where could we offer a degree apprenticeship to be able to again make sure that businesses are able to retain yet develop their really talented folks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. Okay, so membership. Let's talk about membership. As you say, Make UK, or it used to be called EEF, didn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
A long successful tradition of helping manufacturing and engineering businesses. It's a membership organisation. So just let me understand the sort of current sort of levels of membership, and are you seeing an ongoing growth of more businesses joining Make UK? Could you give just a brief overview as to how that, what are the sort of trends and what are some of the key benefits?
Absolutely. And it's been, again, fascinating during COVID-19. Our membership has just boomed. I think for those manufacturers that really wanted to support their sector, they really want to be part of a community, they wanted to have their voice heard, And also to be able to, lean on their peers. If you're a manufacturing leader, it can be quite lonely sometimes. So I think during COVID-19 and then, some of the strife that EU exit brought, that really kind of gave people the mindset of wanting to be part of something bigger. So, for 130 years, as you say, we were originally the Engineering Employers Federation, but, just a few years ago, decided to rebrand to Make UK to be a vibrant, modern, representative body on behalf of manufacturers. And today, we're the national body representing over 23,000 manufacturers of all shapes and sizes. So we've got people making ladies' undergarments, flapjack, parts for Formula One. So it's a really amazing community. I think most of our contacts tend to want to be, part of that group. They want to go on industrial tourism visits. They want to go march around factories and steal with pride. And I think that's the fascinating thing about our community is you're able to put a food and drink manufacturer with an automotive manufacturer. There's no fear of competition, but they've probably got very similar challenges and they can, share those lessons learned. So it really is about that kind of access to events, access to a community, being able to, reach into industry insight and plan and strategize for the future better. But also, it's about reducing costs as well and using Make UK's buying power on behalf of its community to help our members do things quickly, efficiently and with trusted partners. So for us, it's always about those people that really want to see the sector thrive. They tend to just get it and want to be part of the club. We do a huge amount of connecting to funding, to universities, to catapult centres. So it's our job to be curious on behalf of our members. In the background, though, those that have been familiar with kind of the old EEF brand will know that we're also one of the largest employment law firms in the country. So we do provide a lot of people support if people wish to do that. Health, safety, sustainability. We want to make sure that the sector is safe, that we're also making sure that those skills are there for, green business practices moving forwards, cybersecurity. So kind of everything that you need as a manufacturer to keep competitive and to keep moving forwards.
Brilliant. A great range of services for your members. You did mention sort of partners. I know you've got a number of affiliate partners that work with Make UK for your members. Can you just give a very brief sort of overview as to that range of services? I know there are certain insurance companies and typically service providers. What can you just name a few of those key organisations, or the work that they do?
So we work with two different communities actually. So we've got our affiliate partnerships. So Make UK is very lucky. We're part of what's known as the B5, the 5 largest business representative organisations in the country. That gives us the ability to go in at the highest levels of government, but also we do represent businesses' views regionally and locally as well as part of that kind of community. You've then probably got about 1,300, 1,400 trade associations in the country. And we represent and we partner and work very collaboratively with around about 70. So regional networks, regional trade associations and national trade associations within the manufacturing and engineering disciplines. So, we don't profess to be the experts about everything. There will be technical regulations that, it's not really Make UK's bag, but it's our role to make sure that those trade associations that get this very specific intelligence, that we can work together to ensure that those issues, are raised at the highest levels of government. So that's an amazing collaborative community. We also have our Advantage partners, where we are supporting our members to, procure energy, to be able to plan for their net zero strategy for the future, to ensure that they're taking advantage of their R&D tax credits, that they're looking after their people with things like health cash plans and employee discounts, and things like insurance. It feels sometimes quite a serious topic, but boy, if you've not got that correct and you're not seeking the right expert advice, that can be really costly. If a business burns down, it's very rare that it's able to kind of, phoenix from the ashes, forgive the pun, But again, really sage advice at the moment. If you have got a much larger inventory, have you got that insured appropriately? So, we're really proud to be able to partner with Howden, and have done for many number of years now. They're our longest standing partner to ensure that our businesses are protected and insured appropriately.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, wow, what a fantastic range of support for manufacturing and engineering businesses. So, I'd highly recommend for any businesses out there that aren't or haven't considered, being a member of Make UK, get on their website, makeuk.org. There's a fantastic range of support services there. Get the relevant information. There's always people there to talk to. Who would be the main sort of point of contacts, in an initial reach out to Make UK in terms of potential membership, Charlotte?
As you say, Jeff, head to the website, and then our amazing team will ensure you're connected to your relevant regional director or regional membership manager. We've got a brilliant set of colleagues up and down the country, and it's our job. Yes, we're a national organisation, but we really understand our regions and our local place, and we're a really friendly, lovely bunch that just love manufacturing.
Absolutely. So it's been a fascinating talk today, Charlotte. Thank you so much for coming on. I've just got one more question for you. What other Make UK events have you got planned during 2023?
If anyone's been tracking my LinkedIn recently, you will see we are all over the place. So, as I say, the biggie right now is National Conference. We'll be really looking forward to that. We're opening up Iconsis in Telford. Again, oversubscribed, fully booked, I'm afraid, folks. So it really does show why you need to be in it to win it. But we'll be heading to the Bristol Robotics Laboratory in April. We'll be looking forward to our national awards reopening. So please, manufacturers, make sure that you're, recognising the efforts of your team and your business. But then there's always, loads of activity going on. I think we're opening another 3 factories up in March alone, Jeff. So, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, and thank you for A, supporting the sector, but B, your very kind invite today.
You're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure. So that wraps up today's episode. I hope the listeners and viewers of the podcast will enjoy this discussion. I'm sure they will. Thanks again to Charlotte Horobin from Make UK. Thank you for listening, and look out for the next episode of Insights for Manufacturing. See you next time, and bye-bye.